Welcome to Networking Working, the podcast where real business stories meet meaningful connections. Brought to you by Business Matching UK, the UK's first business matching membership service with a business opportunity guarantee. Whether you're building something new, scaling something established, or just exploring smarter ways to move your business forward, you are in the right place.
Welcome back to Networking Working, the BMUK podcast. In this episode, we're joined by Colin Tansley from Intelect, a business helping organisations stay safer, more resilient and compliant through investigations, due diligence, cybersecurity awareness and specialist training. Welcome to Networking Working, Colin.
Thank you for the invitation. Looking forward to it.
This all sounds very technical, so please do explain what your business does and who you help.
I'll try and untech it. That can be part of the problem, is that technology nowadays is moving at such a pace that people, they tend to outsource it in their mind and think, I can't do that. But if I was to sum up what we do, there's three main pillars to our business. Investigations, but not the sort of thing that I used to do when I joined the police back in the 80s, knocking on people's doors and all that sort of stuff. All my investigation conducted online. So I will go off and find people and companies and look for the risks and help a company better understand who they're going to be dealing with. And that's the essence of due diligence, really, that there's an expectation with registered, regulated businesses. And by that, I mean those that work in the anti-money laundering sphere. So your solicitors, accountants, property agents, they really need to know the client or business they're dealing with to obfuscate true ownership nowadays. And with the world as it is, we've got the war in Ukraine, Russia, what's going on in Iran, other parts of the world, there are sanctions for businesses working unwittingly or deliberately with certain businesses. They're just not allowed to do it. So there are high-risk individuals. You've got to look for things like PEP exposure. All that sort of thing is familiar with anybody in AML business. So I help business owners better understand that in the investigations. I also train people how to do that. For 16 years now, I've taught all manner of businesses and organisations how to go on the internet and find information, because effectively that's how you do it nowadays. You go to Google or whatever, you will conduct your searches. But very few people have been trained in how to use Google properly. And it's not just Google, there's so much more out there. I've travelled the world doing that sort of thing and thoroughly enjoyed it. Been as far afield as Mexico, been to places like Malta, Gibraltar, Jersey, Guernsey, Moldova, Portugal. I've been very lucky to do that. Just help people do it themselves in a way that's going to help them protect their company. All our training is CPD-certified, so we've got an e-learning platform, face-to-face. I'll go to businesses, mostly they invite me in and we do an in-house session. I don't do public training anymore for a variety of reasons. We've also built a platform called EdPro. That's a technology platform that helps people do due diligence faster. It's affordable. And it's compliant, because I know from experience that some of the systems that people buy to do this and make their life, they think, easier are very, very expensive. You get tied into lengthy contracts. It doesn't always do what it's supposed to do. So we've built a system that's got AI in it, as you'd expect, but we're not solely reliant on AI. We're using other systems, and it brings it all together very, very quickly. And it takes you through an investigative process, and then you can download a report, which is what the regulators expect to see nowadays. I've been working on an investigation where a firm come to me and they've said, we've got some concerns about this particular person that's approached us to do business with. We're not entirely happy. Could you delve into it? Because we're not overly sure where to go with it. So foreign national, on the face of it, nothing glaringly obvious other than multiple addresses and multiple companies. And for someone like me, that is a red flag. And when you start looking in any depth at the companies, there's no substance. So what is it they're doing? There's a lot of money moving through the companies, and there's a website, but the website doesn't say who owns it. It doesn't say really what they do. It's very blurred. And you've got to peel away layers, a bit like an onion really, to try and get to where you're going. And eventually you go from the UK to another country far away. And behind all of that, there's a person who's very wealthy. There's several other people that have been into all manner of things in the past. Some of their companies are sanctioned and have come to notice previously. And then one of the companies, the state, is a shareholder in the company. So the state is having a say in what the company does. And that immediately elevates the risk. Without an investigator really looking and peeling away those layers, and I've got to say, probably only done about 25% of it, you could unwittingly go into business with something like that on the face of it, or well and good. but in actual fact, somebody else is pulling the strings. And where is the money coming from? Where's the money going to? And is it associated with terrorism? Is it associated with organised crime? All that sort of stuff. It's a bit like shining a light on things for companies and saying, if you're going to do this, you need to make sure your risk controls are in place. How are you going to manage it? Or you walk away. That's how I like to think that I'm keeping the businesses safe. I was in the police for 30 years and I was very keen on crime prevention. So this is my piece for financial crime prevention, really. I can't arrest people anymore, but I can contribute to keeping society safer.
That's quite a scary situation when you take somebody on face value, and if you did a deep dive on them, you could find out things like that.
Yeah, and it's more prevalent than you think. If I said to you, search for me on Google, what most people will do is they'll put my name in. You'd expect them to do that. And on Google, pretty certain now that the first 3 or 4 results will be my LinkedIn profile, my website, perhaps my Instagram account. And most people only search that first page. They'll click on to result number 1, look at my LinkedIn profile. He's a good guy. Go to number 2, his website looks nice. And in our brain, we're getting convinced that everything's okay because there's an element of bias that goes into that. He's got a social media profile. That's his face. Yeah, everything stands up. But Google are returning results on the basis of a whole range of factors in their algorithm around popularity, for example. Social media, because it's where they can gather more information about people, is what they do. When you search for someone or something, you've really got to think about what you're doing. Otherwise, you get led down the Google rabbit hole. You become a link clicker as opposed to a web searcher. And that's what I've taught for years now, that you've got to craft a search that's going to be effective, because there's a psychological piece in all of this that our brains switch off quite quickly with digital information. You know yourself, you use social media, we scroll, we don't really read stuff very much. And I'm not saying for every single client, but I would say to business owner, trust your gut. If you're concerned, then you need to speak to somebody like me, and there's plenty of us.
This episode of Networking Working is brought to you by Business Matching UK, the UK's first business matching membership service with a business opportunity guarantee. If you're tired of turning up to networking events that lead nowhere, BMUK guarantees to offer something different. Structured, supported, and strategically driven business development, designed to connect the right people in the right way at the right time. With a blend of face-to-face and online meetings, plus 7 unique mechanisms, BMUK guarantees real business opportunities, and that guarantee is the cornerstone of what makes us different. Stop chasing leads and referrals. Start matching with meaningful opportunities. Register your interest today at www.business-matching.co.uk. Business Matching UK. Matching ambition with opportunity.
How did you first get involved with BMUK, and what drew you to the community?
Paul contacted me, I think LinkedIn, where I'm quite active. I think he sent me a message and he explained what it was all about. I've had varied experiences with networking, so I was a bit sceptical at first. I always describe myself as a recovering cynic after my time in the police. I was invited to a Zoom meeting first, and that went well. And then Paul invited me down to Leeds, which is my spiritual home. I used to police there, so I know Leeds very well. I liked the vibe, I liked where it was going, and it went from there.
How do you see BMUK supporting your future growth?
I like there's the whole ethos, and Paul often talks about this. We'll introduce you to the right people. And it's quite obvious there's a vision, there's a direction of travel, and you can see things taking shape. So I quite like that there's a journey we're on. It's about getting to the right people, getting to the right businesses and organisations, and quickly. The thing about networking is going in with the approach that this person might not be able to help me, and I might not be able to help them, but they might know somebody who I can help, and vice versa. So all the meetings I've been to, they've been very good. I like the fact that we go in, we sit on a table, we swap about, you get the opportunity to meet lots of people. So quite different.
How does networking within BMUK differ from other networking experiences you've had?
There is an energy in the room from the minute you walk in. I think the focus is right. Some networking meetings you go to, you might have a breakfast, you might sit around, you do the intros, you go around the room, and the minute you walk out again, you've forgotten what that person does, unless they've been on a presentation. I've been in a number of networking groups, one of which very popular. I won't mention the name. I had a terrible experience with that, and it was a little bit evangelical for me and didn't really go very far, because we go to network, we go to meet people that we can work with and we can grow our business from, and that certainly didn't happen. The reverse is true with BMUK. BMUK is different. There's a community there. I think the fact that you've got distinct geographical locations is good as well. They're almost like I would be in my sort of policing career, like in different divisions, but you're all part of the same thing, basically. And I do sense that people are willing to actually help each other. They're not there for purely selfish reasons, which sometimes you see in other networking groups. Some networking groups I've been to, there's this sort of expectation that you're going to give people referrals and you have to account for the amount of referrals. They're nonsense anyway. People do it just to tick a box. I don't see any of that. If I had done, I'd have walked. So people will help where they feel necessary, and likewise.
Who are you looking to hear from?
I mostly work with businesses in the AML regulated registered sector. So as I said, lawyers, accountants, property agents, and there are a whole range of other ones as well, art dealers, for example. I'm always keen to hear from them because that's where I get most of my work from. But I would say cybersecurity, we do that because it's a risk. And I have some expertise with information security from a previous life. Cyber's no different. It's just a different environment. I do cyber security training, and it's really about trying to almost remove the mystique from what cyber's all about. People get, well, what does that mean? What's phishing mean? What's whaling mean? And what I try to do is explain it can be used by criminals to attack you and your data, and it's a commodity, basically. So if we apply crime prevention techniques to that, then we're going to be safer. So we do cybersecurity, and that affects any business. I've helped all manner of businesses with that over the years. It's an area that a lot of businesses are blissfully unaware of the threats. It's this attitude, is never going to happen to me. Well, it can. It likely will, unless you take some sort of measures to protect yourself. An example, a hairdresser's during COVID was attacked with ransomware. And had it not been for the COVID lockdown, that business would never have recovered because the owner spent 6 months trying to rebuild the customer database and retrieve all the finances. Something like a cyber attack, it's a different form of risk. It's a crime. And I help businesses better understand it. And the training does that. Simple things you can do to prevent it. It's often the simple stuff that will protect you 90% of the time.
Do you think there's a certain amount of ostrich tactics with people that they just bury their head in the sand and think, oh, well, we'll deal with it if it ever happens, rather than prevention?
100%. We're not proactive enough. And again, this is a failing of small businesses, actually. They won't be bothered with me. Well, they will, and it'll probably going to hurt you more than a big business because you're not going to have the resources to repair the damage. If you're working on your own, you're going to spend days, maybe months, trying to rebuild your business. Simple things like using two-factor authentication, for example, that will help. Strong passwords, checking your website, all those sorts of things. I've got a WordPress website, making sure the plugins are up to date, checking the visitors, blocking emails, just being aware of where they're coming from, looking at the domains, looking for those urgent messages because often they are behind all of that alias email. There's something that's not right. It's getting ever more difficult, partly because of AI. People can craft very convincing email by using AI and the imagery as well. And they can even ask about the sort of psychological techniques that might work. If you think about the hooks to get people to open Instagram posts, it's the same thing on a phishing email. What's going to get you to open the email? What's going to get you to click on that link? And why they're doing it? And what's going to happen if you do it?
Absolutely. I'm already thinking what I can do, but I already know how to contact you, Colin. So anyone listening who thinks I need to do something about this right now, how do they find you and your company?
They can go to LinkedIn, Colin Tansley. There is two of us. There's another Colin Tansley, would you believe, a former police officer. We've got the same year of birth. We've both got an MSc. We're both in security. But if you look for Colin Tansley, Intellect with one L, not two, because the other one's a recruitment company. Intellect-group.com is the website. And we've got an Instagram account called Intellect-investigate. There's a connect page on the website. It pretty much breaks down what we do. And we've also got the Ice Bath podcast. We talk to financial crime professionals and get them giving advice and what they do, etc.
If BMUK were a single tool in your desert island survival kit, what would that tool be and why?
I'm quite a visual person, so I was thinking, desert island, for some reason, I get this picture in my mind of the SOS stones on the sand. So it would be my SOS in the sand. If I know I've got a problem, I will get help somewhere within the BMUK community. If I want to speak to somebody about marketing, sales, law, a legal issue. And I've seen it in the WhatsApp group. People ask questions and somebody comes back quite quickly. You can't put the price on that.
Fantastic, Colin. It's been fascinating hearing how Intellect helps businesses manage risk in a world where compliance, cybersecurity and due diligence have never been more important. Thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
If today's episode gave you fresh insight, a practical takeaway, or simply something to think about, hit follow, leave us a rating or review, and share the episode with someone else navigating the same landscape. Networking Working is powered by Business Matching UK, a movement changing the way businesses connect, collaborate, and grow. If you're ready to take a more strategic, supported approach to your business development, one that's built on strategy, not chance, then BMUK is what you didn't know you needed. Visit www.business-matching.co.uk to explore more and register your interest.
The information in this podcast is for general guidance and entertainment purposes only. The Networking Working podcast shares ideas and experiences to inspire and inform, and we believe they can be valuable, but they may only reflect part of your own business journey. We always recommend seeking independent advice and using your own judgment to decide what's right for your business. We encourage you to do your own research before making any decisions. The opinions in this episode are our own and those of our guests, and we do our best to ensure the content is accurate and relevant at the time of recording. If you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, you can reach us at info@business-matching.co.uk. Thank you for listening.